This is one that I added in a very last minute, but you guys are fans of Breath of the Wild, right?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Alright, well,
0 to 10.
there's a new game coming to the Nintendo Switch called Yonder, the Cloudcatcher Chronicles. And the art style alone looks very similar to Breath of the Wild. And then the screenshot that they have here is very similar to the screenshot from the beginning of Breath of the Wild, because he's standing on the hill looking out over a giant field with all the trees, and then off in the background is the giant peak of the mountain. So I don't know if that was something they were doing on purpose to like, oh, this worked for Breath of the Wild, maybe we can do something similar, or if it was just like a pretty image they could use, because it is a pretty image. But for those wondering about more information about the game, I believe it has already came to PlayStation 4 and PC, but Nintendo Everything writes, Yonder the Cloudcatcher Chronicles is coming to Switch, according to a listing on Amazon Germany. The retailer lists a tentative May 31st release date, so this could be Q1 or Q2 release. Judging by the box art, Merge Games is helping to bring the game physically to Switch. Head Up Games may also be involved, which I think is the original creators of the game. Merge Games. Yonder the Cloudcatcher is an open-world adventure game with a variety of locations to explore. The ultimate goal is to become the champion of Gimia, don't know how to pronounce that, and save it from an evil merc, which can be done by contributing to the island and taking on tasks such as farming, crafting, cooking, fishing, and brewing, and forming relationships with townspeople. We have more information about Yonder the Cloudcatcher Chronicles below, as well as a trailer. So just from the artwork of this, what are your guys' original thoughts? I don't know if you've had time to go through and look at the trailer, but the gameplay itself is very like action RPG oriented, like a toned down version of Breath of the Wild, basically. Kind of what you would expect from a Zelda-like game. So
yeah, I mean, it looks really cool. I haven't watched the trailer, but I really like the screenshot. I think the art style looks really good. It's kind of like I said, very similar to Breath of the Wild, but I get kind of, I don't know, a different kind of vibe from it, though. It's not quite as painting-y.
Yeah, it feels a little bit more like cutesy, almost a little bit more like indie kind of feeling.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, it looks very lush, very vibrant looking colors, you know, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the features for the games, for people watching, wondering more about it, says a vibrant open world full of things to discover and places to explore. Set your own pace, trailblaze across the world, or settle down for a spot of quiet fishing and farming. Extensive character customization, master professions like carpenter, chef, tailor, and more to help the residents of Jamia. Craft and trade items to solve puzzles as you banish the merc from the island. Befriend and adopt endearing creatures. Build and harvest multiple farms across 8 diverse biomes, ranging from grasslands through dense forest, Caribbean tropics, and more. Sit in a welcoming world you'll want to visit again and again. Multiple creative routes to achieve objectives. A dynamic living world. Seasonal changes affect routes. Animals migrate, day-night, and evolving weather conditions affect the world. Hopefully there won't be any rain stopping you from climbing in this. And finally, spend time doing what you want. Fishing, farming, crafting, questing, picking up rocks. It's all up to you. Yeah.
I'm just like going over the trailer, and it's like...
Yeah, I believe in
it does seem very Breath of the Wild, but like with like farming in it, but...
Yeah, I was gonna say, like...
They have the doggo in it, too.
The doggo. Yes.
And like... is there like an actual storyline? Like we're banishing something? So is this a situation where Link is supposed to be doing something, but you're off doing all of the side quests?
Yeah,
where in this situation, you're off tending to your 8 different farms?
Yeah, like I look at it as very similar to that, because like at the screenshot that I'm at, you can see like a big gassy cloud in the sky, and then it's like you're running around. There's I don't know if it's your companion character, but there's like a dog following him in one of the scenes, and it looks very similar to like how you can go to the different places in Breath of the Wild and have a dog follow you or lead you to a chest. And then you also have Wolf Link, and like the way that you can chop down trees to get items like you do in Breath of the Wild. Like there's a lot of similarities, almost like someone seen one of the first trailers for Breath of the Wild and was like, this looks awesome, I want to do something like this, and then they did it.
There's even a shot in the trailer of him, he jumps off the cliff and paraglides.
I was just looking at that.
He uses an umbrella, but it's still, I was like, yeah, it's very Breath of the Wild, but it feels like a bit of emptier, the world. Like there's no monsters.
Well, it is an
like
indie
from what I
game,
can see.
So
yeah,
like Breath of the Wild, Nintendo not only had all of their normal employees, but they brought in all of the people from the Xenoblade game to work on it. So that had maybe, I would say, 400 people working on it, because I would say Nintendo already had like 100 or 200 for Zelda games, and then they brought in 200 more from Xenoblade. So this, I imagine, was like 10 to 20 people. So
yeah. I mean, it still looks very impressive. Like I said, I really like the art style. Though if I can nitpick, something about the character's walking animation seems a little weird to me. But I always mention that, like, when we'd look at those Unreal Engine games and, like, Unreal Engine remakes and stuff, it just, like, feels to me like if you can't get the walking animation to feel good, I don't know, it doesn't sit with me. I don't know. I mean,
it makes sense. The walking animation is what you stare at probably the most during your gameplay.
So like there's you see a lot of those Unreal Engine like Zelda games, for example, and I think Jesse, who was the guy that made that Twilight Princess 2? Tomoya, yeah. I told him, I think this is the first like Unreal Engine Zelda remake or Zelda project I've ever seen where I actually like Link's walking animation, because they always look too rigid or too floaty.
Yeah, and the cool thing about his is like everyone's focused on like rebuilding Ocarina of Time or something like that, and he's trying to create like a brand new game altogether. So
and that art style like is almost similar to this as well. Yeah, I don't know.
I think, I'm not sure, but like the Link model that he uses looks original as well. Like a lot of people in the Unreal Engine projects, they like rip out the Ocarina of Time 3D Link model or the Hyrule Warriors Link model, but in this, like, it looks like a weird mix of like Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword. Like he did it himself. So,
yeah, I think he might have, but I'm not sure.
So final thoughts on Yonder.
I'd like to see it. Like I'd want to do a demo, I think, before I buy it. I do feel a bit hesitant to actually put money down on it. So I think they should put one of those demos out, because that can make or break it for me.
I'm definitely going to be reaching out to the developers to see if we can get some codes.
Ooh, I love codes. Except I have to delete some of the indie games we've gotten because my hard drive, it was full. So on my Switch, I was like, no.
Yeah, some of the games that have been given.
Goodbye, Putty Pals.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should just do like a rundown, in a couple weeks, like just a rundown. Every game we've had to, every indie game we've been sent. Review it in 1 minute each.
Alright, and what about you, Kayla, before we move to our final topic?
Honestly, I think that I'd probably play it, especially something with like farming. I'm, a Harvest Moon fan. I love farming. I love doing all those little things, kind of like more like Stardew Valley kind of a feel. So I don't know, that's literally my kind of genre, so I'd probably give it a try. But Daniel's right, like I'd probably want to try a demo first, just because like looking at a bit of that initial like trailer gameplay, like the walking animation's a little bit wonky. Yeah, it does feel kind of like a rip, but we'll see. Like they probably have their own little thing they did do it, little something.
There's no farming in Zelda, so it's like Harvest Moon cross Zelda.
Yeah,
almost.
Yes.
That's weird too, because there are like farms in Zelda. Like there's the pumpkin patches that are in like Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild. like they grow carrots and everything, but then it's like Link can't do any of that. The closest that he could
that's
do
not
is
his
like
thing.
Ocarina of Time. You could like plant the magic beans, but that was it.
It took you 7 years to grow a bean.
Yeah, and then
I
Majora's
think
Mask.
farming would be a disaster. We get too caught up petting the dogs in Zelda games.
Oh.
We'd be a disaster if we were able to like plant a pumpkin or something.
I just want to pet the dogs in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, no, that would be like a really cool aspect if like instead of having Link's house in Hatina Village or however it's pronounced, if you could like have your house out in the middle of Hyrule Field, just like an isolated place. Like there's the next to the snowboarding minigame, there's the girl that lives in the cabin up in the mountain by herself. So if there was like an area where Link could build his house and then have like his own garden growing, I think that would have been a really cool feature. And then they could include something like a castle defense style gameplay mechanic to where you have your farm and your house, but at certain times you have to like stop camps of bokoblins like trying to come in and take them. Like all of your fruits and vegetables that you're growing, your stealth carrots and mushrooms or rushrooms, whatever they're called.
I was gonna say like
My
being out
rushrooms.
there. That's a dangerous place. There's a lot going on out there. Blood Moon, you're wrecked.
Yeah, and then like a guardian just comes by and like totals everything.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that could be fun. But there is room at Link's house in Hateno Village. Like if you go across the bridge to his house, and then to the right of the house, there's like a whole, like almost like a field, like almost like it could have been a farm before. Like there's a little stable even that's empty, you know, and you can even pull a Epona into there, or whatever your horse is called,
All right.
not Epona.
It's settled.
Yeah,
Daniel,
he's a Epona.
call up Al Numa, tell him to get on this.
Call him.
DLC
Get
pack
on new
3.
DLC. I know you said it was
D-
fun, but
DLC pack
we
3.
need our Harvest Moon / Tower Defense Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC.
Alright, so our next news story comes from Go Nintendo, where they say emulators for legacy games already up and running on Nintendo Switch through Homebrew.